What's going on, everyone? Mark here with Anastacio once again. Today I'm going to be showing you guys some bag work combinations you can do if you guys do have a freestanding bag or target that you guys are able to strike. I am using a foam padded stick, and I just wrapped the bottom here with some electrical tape, so hopefully I can get some produced for you guys to order. Today I'm using a Century freestanding bag filled with sand. It can literally be whatever you guys want. I'm only using my padded stick to try to preserve the padding inside the actual bag. So if you guys don't really have care to preserve your bags or whatever, go ahead and use a real stick. But basically what I'm going to show you guys is a couple things that can be, again, sparring oriented, or it could just be to get your reps in. I taught this lesson a while back to my students, and I wanted to share it with you guys. And often we get so consumed with the solo flowing, the Sinawali, the Carenza, and all of those things that, you know, kind of are the flowery aesthetic parts of Kali weaponry. But sometimes we fail to actually understand the power and the follow through, the strength in our grip that's necessary to actually strike a target. Especially if, you know, depending on what kind of level you spar at, you can't strike your absolute hardest at that. So what you want to make sure is that you want to train your body to get accustomed to that, obviously in a safe way, so that you get both sides of the coin when it comes to striking with your weapon, whether it be stick, metal, foam, just so you guys have an idea. It's also a great workout. It's very underrated in terms of how much effort and stamina that's required to strike. So it's one of those things that if you have the time, if you're home self-isolating, if you're doing your part, if you're training extra, this is something that can get your heart rate up, get you into those combinations. So I'm going to use this kind of pad work analogy to boxing, if you will. Sometimes when you're a beginner student and you're entering a striking art like boxing, you learn the very basics. You learn your jab, you learn your cross. And of course, maybe these things come after you understand a little bit of the posture, a little bit of the orientation. But it's very, very simple and generic. So there's no particular application. It's just getting used to striking and that feeling of coordinating that strike from your natural fighting stance or your position to the actual target. Okay? So what we're going to start off with is a very basic slash to snap combination. So if you guys are new to Kali, slash is a strike that starts on one side and cuts all the way through. Okay? And a snap is a strike that hits the target and goes back to the point of origin. Okay? Hits the target, comes back to the point of origin. So in the drills or the power works I'm about to show you guys, it's going to reference a lot from what we call the 10 basic strikes in Anastacio Kali and Bias Tresmano's Kali Silat. So there is a video on the 10 basic strikes. The links will be in the description box. Make sure you guys check that out if you want a little bit more reference aside from this video. But basically what we're doing is we're doing an angle 1 to a 4. That's what we call a forehand slash to a horizontal snap. Okay? So it's going to be 1 to 4. And the timing you want between that is you want to make sure that the snap follows up a little bit more quicker. Okay, so you don't want it to go 1, pause, 2. Because then they kind of have the same attribute. You want it to be a follow-up. Okay, almost like we're jabbing to finish the combination, jabbing out to a different range. You can do it on the other side. You can do an angle 2 to 4. And what's going to make these snaps nice and quick to accomplish that timing is you want to make sure that you're using your hips and your shoulders and not just wailing at the bag. Keep your frame nice and tight. We go from angle 2, nice and tight here. I'm squeezing. My stick is chambered right on the top, on the side of my shoulder here. And I'm going to use my hip and my shoulder to shoot it back in like it's a punch and come back to that position that I started with. So it's going to be 1 and 4 or 2 and 3. Okay, that's going to be your first combination. It's almost like a jab cross to me in Filipino martial arts, especially when you're dealing with the single stick application. Now the second one we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to mix the order up. We're going to add a little bit of footwork that's optional to you. The footwork I'm going to be using is what we call the male triangle in the counter offensive application, which is where I'm zoning away. Okay? On a 45. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, if I'm sparring here, I'm going to throw the jab, I'm going to throw the snap. So in this case, I'm going to throw my angle 4 snap. Once I get a reaction, I'm going to step and zone to the side, follow up with an angle 2 Same side, backhand strike, followed by a backhand strike. So again, it's going to be pop and follow through here. I can do it on the other side if I'm over here. Pop with the angle 3, zone out, angle 1. Okay, so I'm here, I'm going to pop, pop. Okay, and when you guys do that, again, timing. If I don't have a physical human being or partner in front of me that's going to give me that natural energy, you want to visualize that snap. It's almost like striking them to their hand, to their face, popping their head back, is orienting a reaction. So once I get that, I'm prompting myself to move offline and strike. Okay? I'm just waiting for the slightest bit of movement, and then I move and strike. Okay? So that's how we flip it around. That's just dealing with the slashes and the snaps. Okay? We're going to build this up a little bit. We're going to work with what we call the reverse X, where this is angles 5, this is angle 6. Both are slashing. But in this case, I'm not going to actually follow through. I'm going to let the contact bounce my stick around into an abanico. So an abanico was a fan strike. You could do it from the right-left. You could do it from the left-right. You could do it in fractions. So just the left, just the right. Most important part when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're driving with your hip and your shoulder. And you want to make sure you're not just twisting your wrist over like so. You want to make sure you're driving it like a snap. You get that with tick motion in that abanico. Okay, so I'm going to go angle 5. This is a forehand reverse slash. Once I hit the target, I'm going to let it bounce over my head and strike on the opposite side with the left side abanico. So again, I'm going to go 1, 2. Okay, you can do it on the opposite side. We go angle 6. Bounce over the head into a right side abanico. So it's going to go 6, right side, or 1, 2. This is one of my favorite ways to follow up because it does give this element of surprise. It looks like I'm going to strike and bring it back down here, but it loops over my head out of almost like your line of sight because my body, my frame is covering it. And then I loop to the other side. Okay? And one of the rules is one strike leads to the next. So a very common way that people try to defend against you is they watch your transition from a forehand to a backhand strike. If I start on the right side of my body and I strike down with a slash, then I know that it may not be an X pattern, although it's very common, but it does have to come from the backhand side because my hand can't magically transition back to the forehand side without using a technique to get it back on the other side, that being your stick. So when I strike that forehand strike and I let it bounce, it comes back. So what looks like it's going to be a forehand strike again, but it loops to almost like the backhand side. If I do it on the opposite side, I start with the backhand strike, I let it bounce, come back to the backhand side, but then I loop it over my head to the forehand side. So it's a little bit of a brain buster and it gets people off guard. If you're really good with the abanico, you can transition that into live sparring with hand targeting, head targeting, wherever you need to hit. And then of course, after that, you can also use that as a follow-up to strike in your other strikes if you need to. So it would be bounce, abanico, down into your combinations of whatever it is you want to follow up with. We do it on the other side, let it bounce, follow up with whatever combinations you want to follow up with there. Okay? Final pad work, this one is very short, it's very sweet, it's dealing with the abanico, and this is something that is very, very effective in sparring. Guru Sam, you might see him in the videos with me here, another head instructor here in Bias Tres Manos. This is his go-to move, sorry Guru Sam for baiting you out, but this is his favorite sparring move. Hits it 90% of the time unless you know it's coming, and it deals with doing footwork with the abanico. So what he likes to do is he likes to bait it out by giving you the right side to begin with. Because when you give a strike, when you give a target, almost like I want to create a reference point, I'm giving you something to reference. So you know that it's going to be a forehand strike. You're going to try to meet it halfway. And so as soon as he sees you trying to meet it, we're going to 45-step female triangle this way, and we're going to wrap around into a quick strike on the outside with your left hand abanico, or your left side abanico. So it's very important you give yourself a little bit of space. You're almost baiting it. Comes up this way, step and smack, very, very quick point, in terms of point sparring, or it's a great way to open up your next combinations you want to do to the bag. Okay, so again, that's a little bit more on the specific side. That's when you're training particularly to counter a certain strike. It may not always end up like that, but it's good to get the reps in so that when you're in that position, if you end up in that position, your body's a little bit more familiar than, I'll just do whatever the heck comes to my mind first. So I believe structure is very important. You can practice your strikes with the partner through flow drills, through to drills, through sequences that your instructor creates. And you can also translate that to a bag. You can translate that to self-training. There's so many different ways, guys, that you can practice your Filipino martial arts, especially with weaponry. So all you need is a little bit of guidance. All you need is a little bit of time. Put the two together, and you're going to be just fine. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe if you're new to the channel. Check out AnastacioKhalid.com. Links are in the description box. There's tons of tutorials on there. The 10 basic strikes are on there as well. All you need to do is sign up to be a member. It's free. You can head to the FMA Concept Cycle. Lesson number 1 is free. You can view it with the link in the description of that tutorial. I'm also going to link it down here in case it's hard for you guys to follow. We also have online memberships, so if you guys are interested in training under me, the lessons that I post on the basic access and soon premium access are lessons that I physically teach at the academy to my students. So if you want to keep up to date with Union Martial Arts and myself, make sure you guys try that out. Very, very cost-effective, very, very efficient way of training. Breaks it down from the technique in stages, steps, counts, to the rep ranges, depending if you're a beginner student, an intermediate student, an advanced student. And it's going to give you just a little bit more insight and guidance, like I said, to help you guys start or continue your Filipino martial arts training. So definitely check that guys out. And if you guys want to see anything else with a bag, want to see anything more solo training, please let me know. I'm going to up the content, help you guys training at home, help you guys training wherever you are. And aside from that, guys, until next time, I'll catch you guys then.